Welcome to the Human Nature Channel. I'm your host, Alex Tamsula, and what am I doing here? Well, it's Tuesday night once again here in my dad's. I'm running out of adjectives to describe this garage, which is why I brought my thesaurus with me. Yeah, let's see what it says on a garage. Carport. Okay. Service station. Oh, I like the sound of that one. I can picture myself in a work shirt with a patch over the pocket that says Alex. See, store. Restoration. Oh, that sounds promising. Under restoration, adjectives. Restorative. My dad's restorative farm garage. Car comes in here with something wrong with it. It leaves with the problem fixed. What a positive vibe. It is nice up here. It's quiet. It's roomy. When I come up here in the afternoon, I don't come with anything prepared. It's more like between that time and 10 p.m., also known as I better get something done time, I jot down some ideas. And I'm walking around and suddenly I start thinking about the invention of the wheel and how appropriate. I mean, in a garage. Got tractor tires over there, right? The invention of the wheel. I imagined 20,000 years ago, or whenever human civilization had got to the point where it perfected a knife that could keep an edge, right? So I pictured this hill. And there's these two guys sitting on the hill, and they have this zucchini, right? And the one guy with the knife that stays sharp is slicing up the zucchini on a rock. They have a fire. They're going to cook these slices over the fire. They're going to toast them over the fire. So anyway, this guy is slicing up the zucchini, and one of the slices rolls downhill. And it goes down, and then it goes down into a dip, and it comes up and it goes over another hill. And this guy is transfixed. He's never seen that type of motion before. His mind has just been expanded, right? So he nudges his buddy, and he's like, "Did you see that?" And his buddy's like, "Yeah, that's our food leaving." And the guy's like, No, there's something special about that movement. It's new. It's like," and the guy's like, "Half that zucchini's mine, the shorter half is yours." And the guy's like, No. Imagine if I took this knife and I made another slice and then made another slice and then put them on the ends of like a stick. And the guy's like, "You're a madman, give me that knife." I think there's a PhD thesis in anthropology in there somewhere. Well, there's always something interesting in my dad's garage. What can I show you tonight? What I have here, I think, is technically called a trenching tool. I just call it an army shovel. My dad, at the end of World War II, my dad was actually in tanker school, but the war ended. So anyway, this may be World War II era. It does have that nice handle. I mean, it's got the flaked paint. It really looks like it's been around the block a couple of times. Wherever it came from, it's got the serrated edge. If Dad told me dig a big long ditch, I'd say, "Can I use this?" Alrighty, what else do I got? I have a very large funnel. The world's largest funnel? Do they get any bigger than this? Oh man, that's diesel. That's seriously, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Well, I think I have everything I need. I got a flashlight, which doesn't work. I have a sugar dispenser. What did I call it last week? A sugar canister? See, this is why I'm not a big fan of winging it. I like working off a script, because whenever I wing it, I always say something wrong. Like, dandelions. Oh man, did Starless Mystery let me have it over dandelions. It was this, I got the his and her gasoline-powered weed whackers, and I'm winging it, and I say dandelions. And I'm informed about their medicinal properties from Starless Mysteries and dandelion wine, and I'm reading these comments, and I'm saying to myself, what have I done? Then I talked with my friend, the Human Encyclopedia, and he said, dandelions in the springtime are one thing. Dandelions in the summer, they got the leaves at the bottom of the plant with the formic acid. And they're singular, solitary plants because they kill everything under those leaves. So, yes, dandelions in the springtime, your dandelion wine. Dandelions in the summer, off with their heads. I got a pack of matches from the Stardust, Las Vegas. Man, is this one hammered pack of matches. Oh, there's one left. I got another flashlight. That don't work either. Did you hear that? Oh, wait. Here's Irv in his, travel container. Irv, you're practically an action figure in his own blister pack. What's that, Irv? What's that, Irv? Let me out of here, asshole. All right, Irv. Okay, here we are. Well, I've run out of stuff to show you. I guess this will be picked up at my place. And we're going to do a Joe Central O transition, one he suggested. Irv, it's time for your close-up. So I was at the backup channel of 5x5 News the other day. Mike Turber had posted the trailer to the documentary Vegas Wrong. I had seen this trailer before, but I left a comment anyway because of a conversation I'd had with a friend of mine. My comment sparked a lively exchange between me and colleagues here in the Las Vegas shooting truth community, and the exchange was so good I decided to capture it all, and I'm going to share it with you. Me. Over the weekend, I was talking with a friend of mine, the Human Encyclopedia, about the Las Vegas shooting, and I mentioned some of the things Eric Paddock talked about in this brief clip. I also said the popular notion was that Stephen Paddock was in the midst of a serious losing streak with his gambling. My friend talked about the psychological state a person gets into during a losing streak and how it's all about the one more win, one more win. If he gets that win, it'll make things all better. I said Paddock was even seen gambling the day of the shooting, and my friend said, well, there you go, the one more win dynamic. Eric Peters. So, theoretically, had he had that one more win, there wouldn't have been an LVS? How does that go with the claim he'd been preparing the attack for a year? Me. Well, the way my friend saw it, Paddock was planning this for a year, but with one more big win, he might have felt placated and called the shooting off. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but who knows? Me. Here's another thought I had. Stephen Paddock was seen on CCTV gambling on October 1st. Was he just killing time until the shooting? That's kind of odd, since with bomb-making materials in his car, he still had work to do. 1005 once said, Stephen Paddock ran out of time when it came to setting up a potential bomb. I mentioned that to my friend, and he speculated that maybe Paddock didn't have a bigger plan, which is what I always thought, but that he was just giving himself a range of options to pick from. Set off bomb, shoot at jet fuel tanks and cause fireball, kill a lot of people. Again, we may never know. Eric. I, for one, don't believe it. The FBI report said he had no identifiable grievance against any Las Vegas hotel. Don't you think that, had he blown all his money trying to get one more win, they would have stated that? It would have been an obvious trigger. He had no debt with the casinos, 2 houses, and $500K in the bank that we know of. He didn't play all or nothing games like roulette. His system was to play video poker for extended periods of time, losing probably about 1% on average. He also used Mary Lou Danley's player's card on the last day. How does that fit in the all or nothing theory? Paddock and Danley knew the system, the game they were playing, the risks it involved, and also that the casinos try to rein in clients they don't make money on. He had been a high-end gambler for years, which means he lost about $10K per trip. He knew he was losing money and was okay with that for some reason. Pushed out of Reno? I doubt it. His Reno casino hostess took care of him so well, she left her husband and went to live with him. As a casino professional, she was ideally skilled to help her protect him if necessary. Did she tell L.E. his gambling losses got out of control? Not according to her interview summary. There is really no substance to the casino revenge claim, in my opinion. Eric, the gambling was the morning before the shooting, as well as on other nights during the week. So yes, that looks like it was business as usual for him with no sense of urgency. I find it hard to speculate about whether there might have been other plans or to what extent any plan failed. We don't know what his exact plans were, and as we don't know what the desired outcome was, we cannot determine what the performance was relative to that benchmark. Scott Liowski. He gambled $1 million leading up to the week of the shooting. Eric. Gambled or lost? Big difference. And how do you know that amount? Scott. Wasn't it said? I've heard it a few times. Does it matter, gambled or lost, leading up to the massacre? Did it really matter since he had foreknowledge of what he was going to carry out? Just saying. Me. I also have a tough time with the revenge against the casinos explanation. It seems like a petty reason to commit mass murder. But we really can't know what was going on in Paddock's head. I tend to lean towards the idea that the child porn on the laptop is significant, because that would leave him open to blackmail and getting him sucked into some kind of scheme against his will. Attorney Catherine R. Lombardo said in a Fox News interview the FBI knew who he was. But Stephen Paddock was a gambler, he was in Las Vegas, and I can't rule out gambling and the Las Vegas shooting being somehow interrelated. Stephen Paddock was certainly conflicted. What if Paddock was playing a game of, if I win, people live. If I break even or lose on this day, people will die. I'll let the machine make up my mind for me. He may have been looking for a reason to bolt, and he didn't get it. Eric to Scott. If losing money is claimed as the motive, then it matters if he did indeed lose money and how much, don't you think? Scott. Or did he even give a shit at that point? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Me. Well then, it's back to the drawing board. Scott. How many drawing boards are we going back to? Greetings from the beautiful city of Pittsburgh. Me. More than I can count. And back at you with greetings from Pittsburgh, aka heaven on earth. Eric to Alex. I agree with most of what you say here. Interesting, that comment from C. Lombardo. I forgot about that. What would she have meant? We'll never know. Okay, what you say in the end comes down to Paddock flipping a coin. That I don't think is what happened. Me, yeah, what did Catherine know? I would have wanted to hear more about that. And you are right, I was suggesting Paddock was flipping a coin. The reason I'm running with it is, it gives me chills. Fawn Spy. Perhaps his eagerness to get back to the casino to gamble for that one more win caused him to forget his ear protection. He should have made a checklist rather than write down some sort of 2,000-yard calculation. Me. Now that I'm in my 60s, I write everything down. So imagine Paddock at the video poker machine thinking, if I win real big, I run. If I don't, I stay. I see a guy counting on a big payday. Finally, Mike Turber gives us a final analysis with his comments to me and Eric. Mike: Catherine knew that Paddock had an extensive FBI file. I told her early on that anyone working as an accountant with Lockheed Martin would have a security clearance, and a completed SF-86 file would be at the FBI. This was around that time as the FBI was a common subject. That last week, Paddock gambled over $1 million, and that info was released by me. He had a cash-out ticket of about $33,000 in the room. The actual amount gambled was about $1.6 million, which most likely was on a $50K float. He was actually winning during his stay, but over the past few years was down substantially. Steve constantly complained to Eric that the casino was fucking him over. He was certainly run out of Reno, as nearly all his high-level comps were taken away, and he was left with standard buffets and standard rooms. This was the turning point for him to stop going to Reno and to spend his time and money in Vegas. However, his time there was soon met with similar frustration. He had mapped out all the high-percentage video poker machines and noticed they had been dialed back. His comp level has been reduced, and that clearly infuriated him. But Steve was a quiet man, and his complaints fell on deaf ears. The motive that both Eric and I believe is a combination of several factors, with the above being the most visible. Less known was he couldn't take his heart meds, and this causes him to lose his pilot's license. Flying was his primary passion. Combine that with failing health, being socially inept, and problems with his relationship with MLD, and you have a recipe for disaster in someone like him. Toss in the loss of his lawsuit and his clearly fucked up life, and it becomes a complicated but more understandable scenario. Me: thanks, Mike. Yes, the FBI would have a file on him after doing a security check for Lockheed Martin. Actually, it's pretty easy to end up with a file at the FBI. All you do is send them a letter asking, "Do you have a file on me?" The answer is, "We do now. Where do you think we're going to put your letter?" So Paddock was actually winning during his stay. This I hadn't heard before. So much for my friend's idea that Paddock was looking for that one more win as a way out of his downward spiral. I can't wait to tell him. So those are the comments. Now you have to understand how I operate. I like to try ideas on for size, to see if any of them have the power to explain. This has kind of been the process in all of my videos, where I toss out possibilities and I see how people respond to them. Send it up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes, as it were. This has been useful, at least to me, since I might not see the flaws in an idea until somebody points them out. I don't have a problem changing my mind if I think I'm going down a blind alley. For example, the idea I had that Steve Paddock might be using the video poker machines as a way of making up his mind about going through with the shooting, flipping a coin, as Eric Peters said. I'm dropping that after Mike filled in some of the gaps in my knowledge about the real nature of Paddock's gambling success in the week prior to the shooting. With that cash-out ticket in his room, I'm back to looking at a man who felt he was getting seriously disrespected by the casinos, first in Reno and then in Las Vegas, and he eventually reached a breaking point. I have little doubt it's the hard surface on our road to any sort of truth about the LVS. But I've also come to a surprising conclusion about the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre. It was the Nevada gaming industry that unwittingly made it happen, turning a man losing his stability into some kind of Frankenstein's monster, putting him together piece by piece over the years with all their underhanded slights. The Steve Paddock we're seeing is a man humiliated one time too many, like the Michael Douglas character in the movie Falling Down. When that one time too many happened, it's like a switch was flipped and he was energized for mayhem. The pinch-ass thinking found at MGM Resorts unwittingly caused the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre by wounding the pride of a man slowly becoming unglued. Is this a satisfying explanation? Not really. And when you look at the range of opinions all through the Las Vegas shooting truth community, there are few people who are going to be satisfied with it. Stephen Paddock dead on the floor of room 32135 is all we can see. Or for those of you more conspiratorial minded, all we're allowed to see. And I'm not saying there still aren't ancillary issues that remain unexplained. But all that does is make the official narrative of the Las Vegas shooting a bitter pill to swallow. A pill a lot of people are going to refuse to swallow ever. It's not that I'm unsympathetic to that way of thinking. The timing of Stephen Paddock buying the bulk of the guns in room 32135 after the 2016 presidential election doesn't hang comfortably with the idea of a man who wasn't going to take mistreatment by the casinos anymore. We're told by his brother Eric that Stephen wasn't particularly political. So with the facts we have no real choice but to believe the timing of his firearm purchases was just coincidental with the election of Trump. I don't like that any more than you do, but my days of jumping to conclusions are over. There are so many people much better at making fools of themselves than I am. There is a native suspicion among many in the Las Vegas shooting truth community that Stephen Paddock simply seeking revenge against the casinos can't be the entire story. These people feel that there are dark forces at work in the world, creating death and destruction for the benefit of a few at the top of the shit heap. And looking at the JFK assassination, the assassination of Martin Luther King, 9/11, like I have, it's pretty easy to understand why. But if Stephen Paddock acting alone is the entire story and nothing else, then a lot of people here in the Las Vegas shooting truth community are going to be gagging on reality for a long time to come. One time, Yimmy the Greek tried to pin me down with the question, well, what do you believe? I couldn't answer that, and I still can't except in bits and pieces. What do I believe? Well, I believe we don't know why there was a funky suction cup rig on the bathtub in the bathroom of room 32135. I believe we don't know why Paddock found it necessary to remove a hard drive from his laptop and dispose of it while leaving the child porn behind on another laptop. From Google search queries on page 110 of the FIT report, we learn from internet searches from his laptop, Paddock wanted to know where is the hard drive located on the E5570 on September 28, 2017, only 2 days before the shooting. More than likely, he smashed it with one of his hammers and disposed of it. That's what I would have done. There are other Google search queries that also stick out. Las Vegas Academy of the Arts Performing Arts Center, September 23, 2017. Family Courts and Services Center, September 23, 2017. The Mob Museum, September 23, 2017. Discovery Children's Museum, September 23, 2017 and September 26, 2017. It's all tantalizing and inspires imaginations to run wild, but that doesn't necessarily get us anywhere. When it comes to the Las Vegas shooting, most people don't want to face the possibility they're not as smart as they think they are. I believe we don't know why Paddock felt it necessary to have the tannerite exploding targets or the precursor bomb-making materials in his car. I believe we don't know why Paddock was opening and closing his hotel room doors the way he did. But I'll save the best for last. I believe we don't know why sniper scopes were found in room 32135, not 32134, where the sniping of the jet fuel tanks took place. That's another thing that doesn't make much sense. Normally you'd have a scope like that if you were part of a sniping team with a spotter. This is just the sort of thing the natively suspicious seize on as proof that yes indeed, we're being lied to about the Las Vegas shooting. There must be some kind of logic to this, and we just haven't figured it out yet. But that's the problem. If Paddock's behavior abandons logic, this puts us in a bind, because a mind in a state of decline isn't going to be easy to understand, no matter how hard anyone tries. If it simply comes down that Paddock was just a man who over time became nuts, maybe the only truth here is that he was sending us a message, and the message was, welcome to my world, it doesn't make a lick of sense to me either. I hate to say it, but right now the Las Vegas shooting truth community is a spent force. It has become mostly useless and corrupt, thanks in large part to a douche nozzle named Jason Goodman. If one YouTube channel participates in taking down another YouTube channel, all for the purposes of suckering in more subscribers, the LVS is now in the service of Goodman's glorified clickbait. Yuck. There are still bright spots, fortunately, which means I haven't given up hope completely. Vegas October 1 Sounds is one YouTube channel I think will make a big difference in the long run, but the people who refuse to give themselves at least a working understanding of the science behind Richard's work will still be off somewhere connecting the dots. When their little art project is done, all they'll have is a picture of a bridge to fucking nowhere. So that's it for now. I'm not going to do a video next week because, once again, some life maintenance issues need addressed. But I'll be back in 2 weeks, and don't be surprised if I finally upload another long-promised music video or two. Have a good one.